everybody, and welcome in to the Fun Astrology weekly video. We're taking a look at the week of May 26th, which we're starting with a new moon, and it's going to take both sides of the honeycomb to get through this one. We have a lot going on. I'm going to show all of this just off of one chart, so let's get to that. I'm going to use Tuesday because it gives us all the configurations really that we need. Now, as of last week, on the 20th, we have the sun obviously in Gemini. What I want you to focus on is this Mercury influence on what's going on right now in our world. And you know, we could even include poor little Uranus right here because a lot of people say it's the higher octave of Mercury. So just keep that in mind, but let's focus on what's in front of us. This chart is obviously set to the natural wheel. 0 Aries is on the ascendant point. So we have the sun as of last week, the moon, which moves in on Monday at about 1:20 in the afternoon Eastern. So it will be in Gemini. The sun is in there, and Mercury entered Gemini on Sunday the 25th. The other big thing, obviously, that happened over the weekend, I'll just point out structurally, is Saturn now, as you notice, is in a red sign, a fire sign, Aries. So we have Saturn and Neptune together. There it is. Here we are. All right, so let's break this down. Here's what happens this week. First of all, on Monday, as I mentioned, the moon moves into Gemini. Then, because Mercury moved in on Saturday, it trines Pluto. Remember, everything that changes signs has to fit in the construct of our Great Pyramid. This is what we're calling the Great Pyramid. If you didn't hear that, check last week's weekly video. We have Pluto on one side, Saturn, Neptune on the other, Uranus, and everything going on there. And then the other tag is Jupiter, which will be entering Cancer. It's in a square, but we have this configuration in place, moving in lockstep, except Saturn will eventually pull off, but not until next year. So Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus are going to move in lockstep. I think I counted up to 2031. We should get an exact date on that, but it's a long time that this configuration is going to be in place. This is just an amazing, amazing time. So on Tuesday, we get that trine right there. Then on Wednesday, the moon moves on into its own sign of Cancer. And I love when the moon moves into Cancer, that's heightened intuition. So Wednesday and Thursday, and really most of Friday, the moon is going to be in this hypersensitive, really tune your antenna into the home office. Then a couple of things over the weekend. Mercury and the sun come together on Friday. And the moon will be in Cancer. That's going to be really cool. And we're going to elaborate on Mercury here in just a minute a little bit more because it's such a player in this week's configurations. Now, with the moon in Cancer, that's through Friday afternoon, and then it moves into Leo. And by the way, these last two sign changes of the moon, the one into Cancer on Wednesday and the one into Leo on Friday, those two are positive aspects going into those voids of course. So we've got a really good moon on our side this week. And in fact, the one on Monday, where it moves into Gemini, that's a good one. We haven't seen this. I have not seen all three weekly sign changes of the moon with favorable prior to the void of course aspects, the last aspect that we talk about quite a bit. Boy, I mean, this is a great lunar week. I hope if nothing else you take away from this video, which it's chock full of stuff. We've already laid out quite a bit. But when we start to weave this together here in a second, we've got a lot of positive stuff this week for our high timeline. But this moon thing, follow the moon this week. Follow the energy of the moon. Gemini on Monday, Cancer on Wednesday, Leo on Friday. Mwah! It's beautiful, truly. Then we're continuing the Mercury influence on the chart because on Sunday night, now this is late Sunday night, it's at 11 p.m., the moon enters Mercury-ruled Virgo, But that last aspect before that void, of course, is also positive. It sextiles Jupiter. So, wow, boy, do we have some positive stuff with the moon. I mean, oh, this is put a big star on your bathroom mirror. Follow the moon. Now, let's go through some of these themes this week. And I had to make a whole page of notes here that I'm going to refer to. So we have Gemini as a theme in the chart. You saw that. We'll go back to the chart here in a minute, but let's just talk about this for a second. Gemini. I think of my precious lady in California who was a Gemini, and I'm a Gemini rising, and that's why we connected so well. Conversation was easy between us. But both of us can be scattered. So it's like, it was so funny in a conversation. We'd be talking about some serious world issue. And then she'd say, Siggy needs to go to the vet here pretty soon. Like, wait a minute. We weren't finished with I've got that Scorpio fixed, right? We've got to stay on it until it's finished. Oh no. Oh no. We'd wander around and we'd talk about Siggy, and then we'd talk about the yard, and we'd talk about a neighbor, and then we'd come back to the very important world event 20 minutes later and finish that conversation. We always did. It was magical what would go on in that brain. But communication was foundational in that relationship. And communication now is going to be foundational for this Gemini season, which will run for the next time. We just went in there on Thursday. So this is really week one, if you will. Now, the other big influence, obviously, and this is where that sextile comes in, that sextile that's going to be with us for a long, long time, between all of this action right here in Gemini and all of this action right here in Aries. So let's just consider all of that in a sign-based sextile, and that's positive. That's a positive aspect. But we're going to see some challenges going on within this. So part of what we see here, especially with these two hombres, is it's going to be a time to shake things up. And Gemini, look at the glyph for Gemini. It's the Roman numeral 2. So we are going to separate the wheat and the tares, as Jesus said in one of his parables in the New Testament. That we are going to be changing, we're going to be dividing, we're going to be shaking things up, and we can all feel that already. Another thing that we can focus on is merging our head and our heart. Head represented by Mercury at home in Gemini, of communication, the messenger of the gods, if you will, and things like the moon spending 2 days of this week in its own sign, that beautiful moon in Cancer energy. Then the moon moving and wrapping up the week, closing out the week, and how we will begin next week is with the moon in Virgo. So it will just roll right on in. Another Mercury ruled sign. The moon is all about our emotions, our intuition. It's super strong when it goes home. Pluto, the ruler of the subconscious mind, the deep realms of the soul. Neptune in Aries, the Lord of the deep. Deep what? Deep spiritual connection. The deepest. Liz Green, redemption, coming back to source. Think about coming back to source and that being a part of our transformation right now. And that's what I realized. With Neptune, we're talking about this strong spiritual pull for those of us on our highest timeline. Conversely, and what you might see around you more and more is the flip side. I was going to say the sad or sorry side of Neptune is addictions, because it's real easy to just numb it up. It's easy to escape the mind. It's easy to escape the Mercury mind right now. It's easier to just numb it up. Whatever, however it happens, but it's easier to not be you. Aries is calling you to be fully you. Neptune and Saturn in Aries is calling you to strip away everything that is coming between you and your fullest, best self-expression. That's Aries, the sign of the self. On a high side, putting yourself out there very positively, starting new projects, getting things done, coming up with new ideas. On the flip side of that coin, it's the self run amok. And what do you get with that? Egoism, self-aggrandizement, self-elevation, self-importance. Which side of the coin are we going to be on? Saturn and Neptune are calling us to basically strip away everything about ourselves, about our spiritual practice, about our connection with the home office. Maybe you think yours is pretty good. Take it deeper. We just came out of Pisces, Neptune and Pisces, and it's going to go back there for a little bit. This is all of this year and all of next year energy. It's not this week energy. It's all of the next couple of 3 years, really, for us to work on this. So we have a big wide window here to use these faster movers like Mercury and the moon to trigger these things that we can lean into that energy and really grow our path. That's the high timeline. The low timeline, anger, numb it up, escape. Choice. My little landmark example, chocolate or vanilla, choose. You have the right to choose. You don't have to defend your choice. I choose chocolate because I like chocolate. I choose vanilla because I grew up with vanilla ice cream in the refrigerator or in the freezer. However you answer it, but you don't have to defend your answer. It's your choice, yours to choose. So choose how you're going to spend this time. Playing your high game or fooling around. And Saturn in Aries is not going to like fooling around. And remember, too, collectively, that's some really strong energy that a lot of people are not going to be able to handle very well. You walk back, we had that energy in 1968, 67, 68. What did we do collectively as a country? We protest a war that was spiraling out of control. We killed a presidential candidate, the brother of the president who had been killed 4 years earlier, and we killed a civil rights leader. That's the kind of energy that you might see around you start to emerge. And when you do, just use your high timeline, peaceful Neptune calmness, not a raging sea, the calm Gulf, the back bays, the beautiful scenery of a pristine backwater. I just was traveling through some of this. That's why it's on my mind. The beauty of these backwater bays, safe from the wind and the waves out there in the ocean. Be that right now. Before I started recording this, I had to run around. I was getting stuff in place. I just did some ohms. Centered, grounded. How can I best share? That's this space on the high timeline side. I don't drink. I haven't for a long time, but if I did, I would stop right now. This is too good to miss. Be fully alive, be fully present. That is the message of Neptune and Saturn in Aries. Get rid of the distractions. Be you, fully you, not a medicated you. I hope that resonates. That's all we're going to say on that. Let's move on. So Saturn, my notes here. That was all under Neptune. Saturn is that sense of self. So I think a lot of us could be asking, who am I right now? I am. I tell you, I'm going through it. I'm going through a little slump. I'll be honest about it. And I realize it's this energy. So I'm not doing anything about it. I'm just being in the slump. Who am I? What am I supposed to be doing from here? So much changed last year. That was Saturn in Pisces. All the changes that I went through, that was like a poster child of Saturn in Pisces, going to help another person. There was sorrow with it. There was change with it. There was loss with it, all Piscean characteristics. The whole thing just played right out. That's what I'm saying is, in my own life, just look at what all has happened this past year and project that into Aries with this sense of self, this discovery, this, hey, I want to be seen. Some of you I know are already feeling that. I know who you are. You're feeling this. I want to do something to help my fellow man. I want to launch something. I want to grow something. Oh, we're feeling it big time. And this is going to be a couple of years, Saturn in Aries, big for personal development, personal growth, personal development stuff, aids to help others in their growth because people are going to be waking up to this. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be amazing. Also, I mentioned it already, that internal external conflict, that is a part of this package. And we've seen it historically. Every time we trace these back, we've talked about that. Won't do it a lot here. We are doing it on the podcast. We're mentioning it. We've mentioned it in the past, but that is part of this. And also head related areas. Now, this is the part that I wanted to talk about. So let's go back to the chart here and let's talk about Mercury as the messenger of the gods. I did a little bit of research on this because it really caught my attention. With everything that's happening in this chart right now, we have, keep in mind, Mercury now in Gemini. So just the influences, Mercury and Gemini. Mercury will be conjoining the sun this week. There's Mercury and the sun together. The moon will be moving into, well, Virgo. It's in Gemini now. So for the next couple of days, moving out on Wednesday and then moving into Mercury's Virgo on Sunday. We have the sextile back to the zero Aries point, and we have all of this trining the ultimate planet of transformation, the depth of the subconscious mind. If Freud and Jung's work was represented by a planet in this chart, here it is. It's this one. It's the depths of the soul. It's the areas that we don't like to go into. People are scared of their subconscious, but that's where it exists. So it's trine. So here is, look, here is the messenger of the gods. Here is the Lord of the deep, just circle Neptune. That's the Lord of the deep, the Lord of the sea. And this is the Lord of transformation. You see that picture? This is an air trine. That means our head merging with our heart. Our heart merging with our subconscious. It's just so cool. It's so beautiful. So Mercury, as this in-between messenger in mythology, was responsible, I'm just reading some stuff that I pulled here, responsible for delivering messages between the gods and humans. He also helped guide souls to the underworld. There's that imagery. So this whole thing about allowing this heavy Mercury influence right now across the whole chart, allow that to guide us into these depths of our soul. A couple of other things that came up on my little bit searching, just poking around. I didn't do much, but I just pulled a couple of things. Was the trickster, the cunning, sometimes trickery, sometimes thievery, all of the things that we celebrate during Mercury retrograde periods. But primarily, the idea with Mercury is this connection between heaven and earth. The one who is the orator, the oracle between the gods in the sky and those of us on our spiritual path. Mercury ruled over good fortune, wealth, commerce, business. Boy, Mercury's been disrupted on that. more division as Mercury passes through Gemini. But I hope on the high timeline perspective, you see that the focus for us this week to live this chart to the fullest is to be willing to go down to the depths, be willing to look inside the compartments of our soul, get a journal out, and let Mercury communicate from God to you. Oh, this is so powerful. Jupiter amplifies. And I know everybody talks about it not being, being grumpy in Gemini, but it really hasn't been that bad of a transit. I mean, there have been some issues, but get on the high timeline side of it and let it expand this beautiful connection that we're seeing in the chart right now. So the whole thing is about us jumping onto our highest timeline in purest form and living it out and letting the sky give us these messages. Carve out time. If you have a busy schedule and if you're chasing kids around all day and life is just full, make sure you allocate some of that time for you, because this is too good to miss. And I hope that you have a really blessed and connected week with your head and with your heart. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the podcasts all week, and I will see you back next week.